I'm just so excited to be meeting with you today because of all the things that I love in the world. We're going to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is something to do with women. So thank you for being here with us. I don't want to spoil your thunder. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do and why you do what you do?
Thank you for having me, Brandy. So my name's Fern. I'm a program manager for an organisation called the Women's Work Lab, and we support unemployed mothers in the Southwest on their journey back to employment. We do this through running 12-week training programs for women. That includes a work placement, just to increase their confidence and help them find work that works for them and their families.
That's awesome. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because women are 50% of the world, really. And if you bring it sort of closer to home, we are 50%. But we're still having to put in interventions to get us ready to go back to work, and all the things that we need to do from a confidence perspective to support us. From your perspective, what does it actually feel like when you join Women's Lab? What do you get? What does one get from being a part of the organisation?
So I think it's worth mentioning that the women who are approaching us all have a wide array of stories and narratives in terms of where they have come from. We are meeting women who have had decades away from work, who have had a couple of years away from work. We are meeting women who have chosen to stay at home and raise their children. And we're meeting women where circumstances have meant that they haven't been able to return to work. And just, I think it's important we name some of those barriers, actually. So a lot of our women have been lone parents, for example. They are parents with children who have disabilities. They are women who have fled domestic abuse. And so they come from a variety of backgrounds. But what we have found through research that we have carried out in Bristol is that there are a kind of common thread between these women that we aim to support with. And those three things are raising confidence. They are increasing aspiration, because women are just not dreaming big enough for themselves. And lastly, we aim to increase these women's employability. So that's your things like knowing how to do the job application, how to do an elevator pitch about how our time away from work as parents is so transferable to the workplace. It's things like interviews, and it's things like just navigating the wide world of work and opportunities and where to find them.
Wow, three really big core pillars, really, from a confidence aspiration and increasing employability. That's amazing. And you mentioned that you guys are based in the Southwest. I know what Southwest means to me. You know what Southwest means to you. But for some people, it means anywhere from Hampshire down to Cornwall. Do you cover the whole region of the Southwest, and which areas are you present at?
So not quite yet. We were born in Bristol about 4 years ago. So that is our home. And then slowly we have been branching out. And at the moment, we are also in Bath. We are in South Gloss. Wow. We have come into North Somerset, covering Weston-super-Mare and Clevedon. And most recently have gone into Somerset, covering Bridgewater and Taunton.
So you've not got to my neck of the woods yet, Devon and Cornwall, but you're coming.
Not yet. We're coming. Yes, please.
But Fern, this is a really cool gig that you're involved in. What actually brought you into this? Why Women's Lab for you?
So I think it stems back to my own experiences as a child. I was a young carer. My mum was a single parent. And she had quite complex mental health. And she had twins, myself and Billy, my twin brother, at 42. And what I observed was that mum never worked again after having Billy and I. And that was definitely a mixture of poor mental health, which was worsened by not being in work, in terms of being isolated and not having purpose and being part of something. And then the further removed from work she became, the huger impact it had on her, which then meant she couldn't go back to work. So she was stuck in this cycle. And I just imagine if something like the Women's Work Lab existed when my mum was ready to go back to work after Billy and I, what her life would have looked like. And so I just feel so passionately now that we need to do something about this. We're in 2024 and it's not a hard sell to say that women who have had time away from work to have babies and raise families should be supported and nurtured to go back to work when they're ready.
What a really heartwarming story. I mean, I'm a twin mum, so I can absolutely empathize.
Yay!
You know, in terms of how she kind of felt. But before we met, Fern, I hadn't actually heard about you guys. So if somebody is in the position that I was in a year ago, as in we hadn't met, how did they find you? Where are you? Tell me a bit about
yeah,
what
absolutely.
aspiration is to be.
Absolutely. So we are out as much as we can be in the community, trying to find mums who will benefit from our programme most. A lot of our referrals do come through job centres and initiatives like CTEC. We are also working really hard to work with organisations who women rely on and trust in. So, for example, schools and peer health and doctors in the local community, to ensure that the message is coming through there, that we exist and we are there to help. But as usual, you can find us online. Our website is www.womensworklab.co.uk. And we also have a great social presence on Facebook and Insta, Women's Work Lab, which I always suggest taking a look at, because we have lots of reels and clips of women who have done the programme and had the experience and can talk about the difference it's made.
That's great, thank you. Could you just repeat the website address again?
Absolutely. So it's www.womensworklab.co.uk.
Fantastic. And you're on Facebook, you said, yeah?
Facebook and Instagram, Women's Work Lab.
Fantastic. And I'm sure a quick Google would take
Google. If you Googled something like mum wanting to get back to work, I think we'd be up there. Yeah.
Amazing. So one of the things that I really want to unpack is, what do women practically get out of the experience that they have with you? So I join, so what do I get out of it?
Yeah. So I'm always really transparent that the first few weeks of our program is really stripping back, who am I aside from mum? What are my core kind of beliefs and values, and what industries does that align with? So we're going right back to the core of who we are and where we fit in the world of work. And then, touched on briefly before, we start looking at how we sell ourselves as women and as mothers, and how we talk about our time away from work in a professional conversation to ensure that employers understand how much we bring to the table. We then get work placement ready. So all of we work with will go to a local employer and spend 4 weeks getting some hands-on practical experience in a workplace that aligns with their aspirations, which is just an integral part of the program. And then post-placement, we'll come back for final 2 weeks. That should take us to the 12 with a school holiday. We will do the hardcore employability stuff. So we will do CVs, we do mock interviews. We've been fortunate enough to work with Barclays most recently to deliver mock interviews. And we have key speakers. recently, Melanie, who is the head of HR at the Priory Learning Trust, came into our classroom to speak to our women about her experiences and recruitment. And it's worth mentioning that if by the end of the programme our mums are not employed, which lots are, Brandy, I see about week 10 women start securing jobs.
You get a basket of skills, right?
I know. But if for any reason they haven't found work that works for them by that point, we will work with them for 9 months post-programme one-to-one until they find what we call meaningful employment. So work that lights them up.
I love that. I really love that. So it's an end-to-end program, actually.
Absolutely.
It doesn't pick you and drop you, which is fabulous to hear.
No.
And one of the things I really loved hearing from you talk about was the fact that actually it's quite an inclusive program. So, does it have to be just a mum that can come to you?
So I think we treat all of the women coming through the Women's Work Lab as individuals. We absolutely do not have a blanket, strict policy. We are working with women who have small children, babies. We've had babies coming in being breastfed, women with children at school, but we're also seeing an increase in women maybe in their 40s or 50s who have been out of work for a long period of time and are saying, who am I and where do I fit? So there is certainly not a certain mum who comes through. These women have had entry-level roles only. These women have never worked before. These women have been nurses. They've been I've had teachers, I've had HR, I've had such a variety of women. And we've also had kind of carers, guardians, and we've had women who do not have children in their care. So it really is an individual assessment on each woman who comes through.
That is my favorite part of the program, actually, because it kind of takes the broad sense of diversity. It takes the gender part of it. It takes the parenthood, the caring, and it brings it all together. So it's very, very inclusive, which is amazing. I think you do such a fabulous job, Fern, but you must get so much out of it. Tell us what you get out of what you do.
Thank you. It's really, really difficult to articulate how grateful I feel to work for such an amazing organisation. Seeing the difference in women from when I first meet them after their application to graduation, our ceremony where they celebrate what they've accomplished over the 12 weeks is truly, I'm just in awe of these women. And I'd like to say that also as an organisation, the Women's Work Lab are incredible in terms of my colleagues and the expertise. We're all women. We are all mothers. We are out there to make a difference and make a change. And next step, I'd say, is world domination for Women's Work Lab.
Bring it on.
Absolutely.
Bring it on. Where do we find you again?
So website www.womensworklab.co.uk or search Women's Work Lab on Facebook and Instagram.
And if you forget all of that, there are some key things that you can put into the internet and
find just something like mum looking for work, Southwest, Bristol, Western, Taunton, wherever you are, and you should find us that way too.
Amazing. We appreciate you for what you do.
Thank you.
Women's Work Lab, and we know that you're doing an amazing job. And thank you so much for coming to share this with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Take care.